I'm Tony Perkins, and you're listening to Washington Watch. I want to bring you a legislative update on a measure making its way through the Congress. We talked about this yesterday, but Chuck Schumer and the Democrats never miss a crisis, an opportunity to attach some of their bad policy to kind of an urgent spending measure. In fact, I'm going to play a clip. This is Chuck Schumer on the Senate floor yesterday, and I'll explain after you hear this clip.
We're working very hard on a few last-minute issues, cyber and VAWA. On VAWA, I am pushing very hard to get it in. I'm hopeful that it will, and I think there's a real good chance that VAWA will end up in the bill.
VAWA. We talked about this yesterday. That's the Violence Against Women's Act. Now, that sounds so nice, but every title is deceptive of measures here in Washington, D.C. As we talked about this yesterday, what this bill would actually do is, for instance, a battered women's shelter. This bill would now force these shelters to accept men who identify as women into these shelters that are protecting abused women. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. So this thing would not pass on its own. It's having difficulty. It's been hung up for months because they can't get it through the Senate. But we now have this massive omnibus spending bill that has been pushed through, they're rushing it through the House. It's going to go to the Senate, where it has the best chance of dying if Republicans will take a strong stand against this mishmash of policies and spending bills. Here to talk more about this, Travis Weber, Vice President of Policy and Government Affairs. Travis, welcome back to the program.
Thank you, Tony. Thanks.
All right, what did I miss in describing what's taking place?
Yeah, I think obviously the giant spending bill, $1.5 trillion, and a bill that's thousands of pages long, so long that the sections have run through the alphabet and they're starting over with AA, double B, double C, and so on, to contain all of the policies that have been jammed into this bill. I mean, it's not just spending to carry on the function of government. It's a number of radical social programs affecting domestic policy that Democrats and others have tried to jam in, and covering emergency funding for Ukraine. So this thing is massive. The Congress has not really had time to digest it. It's being cobbled together and foisted upon Congress. And as it moves through, we have significant concerns on the Violence Against Women Act provision that you just mentioned, but also inclusion of gender equity programs internationally that are going to open the door and pave the way to abortion advancing internationally. So very problematic in both those fronts. And that's just a part of the giant stew of domestic spending that's been forced into concert with Ukraine aid that I know many are trying to get through as well.
Yeah, just to put this in perspective, we're talking, I think, about $12 billion that has been agreed to for emergency spending. The Biden administration is saying they don't have any more money to allocate to Ukraine, so they need Congress to allocate more money. And so Democrats in Congress, unable to get some of their other pet projects through and funded, want to use that as really the leverage, the Ukrainian emergency funding as leverage to get everything else through, which not only includes policies like the Violence Against Women Act, but also some international policies at the State Department regarding gender equity.
Yeah, no, Tony, absolutely right. And, the problem with these, sometimes you spot issues with the language itself, right, where it's going to, as you mentioned, VAWA, allowing biological men to enter women's private spaces. That's clearly in the text of the reauthorization, which is a problem. We've been very clear that this is a problem, and we'll continue to be clear that it's an issue. You also have language on the abortion side and the gender equity side in terms of some of these international programs, which it just opens the door a bit more to a willing administration, such as the Biden administration, to setting forth executive actions and policies or following this up with executive action and policy that will open the funnel for abortion to be advanced internationally. And the problem with this is so much is hidden. So much of the public does not know what is going on in the executive branch. I mean, we have enough of a time keeping up with Congress when you have a few hours to review a thousands of pages long bill, but how much more so in the executive branch? You know, the entire bureaucracy aligned with advancing policies, often, you know, for the Biden administration, pro-abortion policies. And so this is part of the background of the concern and something that we want to continue to track and help bring out to the light so people are aware of what's going on.
All right, Travis, the best place to stop this is going to be in the Senate because the House, controlled by Nancy Pelosi, is able to push basically everything through. So the action item here.
Yeah, I think people need to let their senators know they're concerned about it for the reasons we've outlined. This is problematic for these and other reasons, but they can go and take action, letting their senators know that the Violence Against Women Act should not be included and is problematic. And that alert is up at TonyPerkins.com. FRCAction.org/VAWA is the link. And we're going to continue to drive this message home.
All right, Travis Weber, thanks so much for this last minute update.
Thank you.